like the presentation I just gave, this one, the objectives, or you didn't hear anything? Hello?
We don't.
We didn't hear.
Okay.
Didn't.
Okay, sorry. Then this is my fault. So I will just gonna cover what I was saying 2 minutes ago. I'm sorry, maybe there's some connection issues from my end, but I'm gonna repeat what I just said. I just said that today we'll be covering some new topics for you guys. So one of these topics is SCADA system, Internet of Things, and mobile application security. I don't know if you have already covered this in your studies before, but if you don't, that's not a problem. We will try to cover it very quickly before we go. So, and just I wanted to know if you guys ever heard what is Internet of Things, what is SCADA system, what is control systems? Have you guys heard any of these terminologies before? I'm talking to Sumaya, Abdullah, Nan, Razan, Noura. Can you guys hear me? Franklin, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can.
Okay, have you guys heard about one of these terminologies before? Like IoT, Internet of Things, SCADA system?
For me, not.
Okay.
This is.
How about the rest?
I can't speak for everyone, but I've heard this. I've heard of them.
Okay. Okay, good. I just wanted to know because, you know, one of the objectives here is to explain the embedded system security implication. And in order for me to explain the implication of these systems, I need to cover what is this system to start with. You cannot secure something which is you don't really know. Okay, I'll give you an example, very simple example. Okay, you have a house, okay, in the middle of nowhere, and this house is not secure. There is no fence, there is no cameras, there is no a security guard, there is nothing, okay? And you don't know how many entrance for this house. You don't know how many doors for this house. You don't know how many windows for this house. How you would be able to secure this house? You will not be able to secure this house. Why? Because you don't know what is the blueprint of this house. You don't know what is the architect, how this house is being built. So you cannot really secure it. Okay, but if I give you a house and I said there is 2 doors for this house, there is 2 windows for this house, and this is the layout and the map for the house, and I let you to take a tour around this house a couple of times, then at that time only you can say, okay, you know what? I have to install camera here. I have to install fence here. I have to hire someone to be as a security guard. Do you guys agree about this concept or no? So this is the bottom line for all securities, right? I can see people say, yes, that's good. Thank you, Razan, thank you, Sumaya, to say, and Alif and Ibrahim. I like to see more answer, right? So in order to secure anything, even our network, you need to understand what is the topology of our network, how our network interact with each other, how the computer send a message from one computer to one computer. Only then you will be able to secure the network, okay? If you don't understand how the communication is done, if you don't know how the actually the bits are transferred from one computer to one computer, or from one application to one application, or how the computer actually work, you will not be able to secure it. So thank you everyone that's already respond to this. Okay, so I will explain what is embedded system, and then I will explain how can we secure embedded system. So in the first thing, this is the definition of embedded system. So an embedded system is a complete computer system, okay? So this is what it says, that is designed to perform specific dedicated function, static and dynamic environment. So what we mean by this? So we have a computer. I would say sometimes it's a mini computer. It's been already designed to do a specific task. So what is specific task we are talking about here in embedded system? Let's say I have a signal, like a traffic signal. And this traffic signals, every 30 seconds, it will give you either a red to stop or either a green to go. So this is a very small system, okay? But the system that's actually controlling these systems and showing you a different light, they call this an embedded system. It's a small computer that it waits for 30 seconds, okay? And after 30 seconds, it gives a signal for the light red to be lighted for people to stop. And then after 30 seconds, it turns this light to green and allow people to pass the signals. Okay, so everyone understand now a small functionality. This is like a small computer designed for a static task. Means this computer will only do this task. Okay, so our computers that we have at home, it's multitask. They call it dynamic. We can do a lot of things using our computer at home. That's why they call it the dynamic. Why? Because my computer, I can use it as a calculator. My computer, I can use it as a browser for the internet. My computer, I can use it to send emails and receive emails. My computer, I can use it as a hacking machine to hack another machine. So they say this computer, our computer at home, is dynamic. So I can use it for multiple purpose, like for multiple functions. While embedded system, it's a computer only made to do a static task. Meaning static task, it's only one task, it will do it all the time. I give you another example for people who didn't get the signal traffic example. I would give another example. Let's say I have an air conditioner at home. An air conditioner at home is it has a sensor. It will sense the humidity and temperature at home, and then it will display it in one screen. And then when this temperature reach to a certain point, let's say 18 degrees, it will stop the air condition. And then when the temperature in the room goes up to 27, it will start to work again. This is also called an embedded system. It's a computer. It has a sensor, and this sensor are sensing the temperature at home, and accordingly, it take a decision. When the temperature above 27, the air condition will start to work. If the air condition reach to 18, it actually stopped to work. So this is another also example of embedded system. So everyone knows what is embedded system. Okay, it is again very quickly we can say it is a computer made for a static task. And what we mean by static task, it's only one task. It do this task and it cannot do anything else. Okay, and this is what we refer here. What is the difference between static and dynamic environment? Okay, thank you, Alif, Ibrahim. The guys, Ibrahim, Wahaya, and everyone responded. Okay, so some consideration. When we look at these systems have, first of all, when it comes to cost, it's cheaper than normal computers. So I can design an embedded system and it can actually cost me maybe 200 bucks, which is maybe around 500 dirhams or 500 riyal Saudis. Okay, so this is actually the cost. While if you go to buy a cheaper computer now, it actually it will cost you more than this. Okay, this is one thing when you look at the cost. We look at also at the power. Okay, when it comes to the power consumption, it's less power consumption than normal computer. Because if you want to see how the static or embedded system looks like, if you look here, if you guys look here, this one, can you guys see my screen right now? This one over here, this green board over here, this is called Arduino board. And in Arduino board, this is considered an embedded system. Okay, and as you can see, this is a very small board, which has a computer, which has a power connection, and this power connection may be a 5-volt power connection. So it doesn't consume a lot of power. So this is something also you need to know about it. Okay, and also it has a computer or computing constraints. What we mean by computing constraints, as I mentioned to you, it cannot do multitasking thing. It only can do certain things. If you give it any other task to do, this computer most probably will not do, and most probably will not be available because it cannot handle it. Okay, so this is one of the things that you need to know about actually embedded system. Okay, so we talked about cost, power, and computing constraints. We also look at the crypto authentication and implied trust constraints. What we mean by this, everyone is clear about this point, which is cost, power, and compute constraints. Guys, if something is not clear, or if I'm talking in a very quick pace, you just can tell me to slow down, or if you don't get my accent, because I have like a bit thick accent, you can tell me to change my accent. I can change my accent also accordingly. And thus, if you guys are shy to ask questions in English, you can ask questions in Arabic. I can also comprehend questions in Arabic. Okay? Everyone is with me right now? The first point is clear? Okay, perfect. Good. Thank you, Abashair, for telling me to slow down. That's perfect. I like this. When I talk faster than you guys can comprehend, it's good that you tell me to slow down. Okay. So what we mean by crypto? Does anyone knows what is crypto stand for? Do you guys know what is crypto stand for? It's coming from the word cryptography. Do you know what is cryptography is? Have you cleared? Have you studied cryptography, or you've been introduced to cryptography subject before?
Yes.
Cipher. Bravo. أستاذة بشار بتقول yes. أستاذة Razan or Rahif. Yes. Okay. Perfect. So what is in cryptography in a very nutshell? It's a way to hide a message between a source and destination. I want to transfer a message between a source and destination, and I would like, when I send this message, no one will be able to see the data which is I'm sending. Why? Because if he was able to see, he can do something called eavesdropping, and he can know what is the content of the message. Unfortunately, in our embedded system, because when it designed long time ago, they didn't actually think or actually implement any kind of crypto or encryption between the source and the destination. So you have a source, so you have a sensor, let's say the sensor for temperature, and this sensor for temperature is connected to a reader, which is a screen which shows the temperature in the house or in the room. Okay, and the communication between both, it's done in a clear text. Okay, and if someone was able to see this messages going back and forth, he will be able to read what is the temperature. In case of temperature, it's a not big deal. You can let anyone to see your temperature. But what if this message actually it's inside a nuclear facility, and it's sending very, very sensitive information about your nuclear facility to another screen, and someone was able to eavesdropping or listen to this conversation? Would you like this to happen? Definitely no. So cryptography was not implemented in the old embedded system communication, but recently, especially in the recent days, they started to look at encryption between the source and destination. So this is one thing. Okay, how about authentication? Who can tell me what is authentication is all about? Can someone tell me what is authentication is all about? It's ensure who you are. Bravo, Ustaza Haya. Who else can tell me ensure who you are? This is a very good actually definition. Given access, Bashayr بتقول given access.
The process of proving something is true.
صح. The process of to think that something is coming from an authenticated source. What we mean by this? Yeah, what we mean by this? Okay, let me me as your instructor Shadi is sending an email to everyone in the class. Okay, how can you authenticate that Shadi is really the sender? We are in the internet. No one knows who is really you are. I can spoof an email. I can spoof an IP address. I can spoof a website. I can give you a website which is Bravo says hi. But what I'm saying is I can actually tell you I am whoever who I am. Okay. Ask him if he is the one send an email. This is another way of authentication, ya Ustaza Sumaya, that you can call someone and actually buy the phone. But are you gonna call everyone in the phone asking him to prove that he sent you an email? How many emails you get every day? especially I don't know if some of you guys are working or some of you guys still didn't start his career yet, but I can tell you could be a very hectic job to call everyone every day asking him if he send you a message. So what kind of authentication? Okay, imagine I have this sensor, the temperature sensor, that it's measure temperature, and it sent me a reading to my screen. I wanted to know if I really can authenticate the source. Is it really the temperature is 25 right now, or I cannot authenticate the source. So unfortunately, the communication link between the sensor and the screen was not built with security. So there is implied trust relationship. What we mean by, I think, you say, if it's coming from this sensor, I have to trust this sensor. I will take whatever the sensor is saying is right. I will take it as granted. I will not verify who really sent these numbers. And could be really dangerous. Okay, you know why? Because I will give you an example. Let's say I have in a petrochemical plant, like a factory for a petrochemical, and the petrochemical needs a certain temperature to do refinery for the products, or to do some internal processes. Okay, and I have to trust the sensor here to tell me what is the temperature inside a tank. Okay, if the sensor send me a false, or an attacker send me a false, okay, numbers, and in my screen I was saying, okay, this is a good numbers, while the attacker is increasing the tank temperature until the component inside this tank explodes. Okay, and could actually cause a death and loss of life. So in a very small thing about authentication in a big environment can lead to a catastrophic implications. Okay, but in a small environment it will not make any difference. But I'm telling you, this trust relationship and this is authentication thing, it may be not very vital in a small environment, but in a big environment, okay, whereas you have a nuclear facility, or you have a petrochemical plant or plants, or if you have a very big factory, this is small things can actually, and if someone exploit these kind of vulnerability, it can lead to a catastrophic events. Okay, network and range constraints means the embedded system, okay, it will be connected end of day with a network. Okay, does anyone have any problem with point number 2 here? I just wanted to clear this point. Have you guys have any issues? What is cryptography is? What is authentication? What is implied trust mean? Does this mean that this all okay covered and we give example for it? Was it good? Or we shall give more examples? Okay, Haya is saying okay. Okay, how about the rest, guys? Abdullah, thank you, Abdullah, and Noha, Uruba, Muhammad, thank you, guys. Okay, the last point, please, about implied. So, shukran ya talal. Okay, implied trust معناه يا طلال, it means that you trust there is it's you saying that if it's coming from this sensor, I should trust this sensor. But can you really trust without authentication? Can you really trust something coming over the network without authentication? This is what we mean by implied trust. Okay, means that you trusted the source without even verifying if the source is authentic or no. This is the implied trust. So most of our network, which is specifically more related to embedded system, it has this thing, this implied trust. But if you looked at from security point of view, it is actually a bad thing to have. Okay, I don't know if you have any idea about who is Kevin Mitnick. This is one of the famous hackers ever exist in the whole world. He called Kevin Mitnick, and he hacked something back in 90s, like back in 90s where no one knows about hacking except few people. And one of the things that he done in this hacking, that they used to have a server full with software, which is very expensive software. Kevin Mitnick, yes. Okay, it says yes. Thank you, Derek, for adding who is Kevin Mitnick. So we can actually Google him or go to YouTube. He have very this guy is actually was in a prison for a long time, and he was prohibited to use any computers for also a long time because they know how dangerous he is. But the whole story about Kevin Mitnick, which is brought me to implied trust constraints, is back in 90s, there is one of the software houses. They have a very expensive software, and this software only can be accessed from one machine, and this one machine only can copy this software. So what he did is, because there is a trust relationship between these two machines, he hacked this machine that it has a trust, and he used this machine to copy the data from the server that has very expensive software. So that's why I'm saying without verifying who is accessing the machine or without authentication, the trust actually can be exploited. I hope this is answer you your question, Talal. But if you need more explanation for implied trust, we can actually go through implied trust after the session, because I'm worried about the timing. Okay, so network and range constraints. What we mean by network and range constraints here. So this embedded system needs a network that connect these devices together. I give you an example, okay? The traffic signal that we have in the streets is actually connected to a bigger screen back to the traffic center location unit that it's controlled by police, okay? And they can see the signals, they can actually control the signals. So these all signals are connected through a network, okay? The sensors you have at home to check the temperature is also connected somehow with wires, okay, to the displaying screen that shows you this this temperature, okay? So there is a network for communication between them. Okay, so now we know there is a network. Now we know once we have a network, we can actually have a network attacks. So this is one thing to know about embedded system and security consideration. So if things have a network, that means someone can actually get. And this more specifically, if you have this network is connected to the internet, that make it even worse. Okay, why? Because you don't actually trust the internet. So anyone can actually come and hack your network. So this is one thing that you need to know. And also you need to know there is a range constraints. What we mean by range constraints, these devices, okay, I cannot connect device that with another device that is 100 kilometers away, okay? Is this sensor that you have in home and this embedded system usually use a small range, like maybe 3 meters, 4 meters for a connection, whether it's a serial cable or network cable. So this is also, there is a range constraints. If you want a higher range to communicate, you will use something like satellite. And this is what they use, guys, because you are from Saudi Arabia, so you know this better. So you have oil field. Bravo, Ustaza Haya. It's a very, very good explanation. It's a limited range. But especially if you guys have an oil field in the middle of the sea, you have something called rigs. This rigs is a way that you export oil from the middle of the sea. And these rigs are connected to, for example, I don't know, Aramco, and how they connected and send data using a satellite communication. So in order to actually overcome the issue with a limited range, they can come up with a new communication tools that it's actually being used to communicate data to the main hub or to the main station. Okay, but you need to know one also thing about these satellite communication. Satellite communication is also hackable. You can hack satellite communication. If you have a doubt about this, you can, there is a very good article been written long time ago, maybe in 2013, 2014, about how Iranian has hacked one of the drones communication satellite, and they landed this American drone on Earth without any issues by hacking. So they hacked the communication satellite, and they managed to take over the drone itself. So they give the drone a command to land. There is a very good article about this. You can look it up if you would like to know that even the satellite communication, because it's one of the networks, is actually hackable. Okay, so this is actually a very quick introduction about embedded system. I'm sorry that it took me some time to explain what is embedded system, and it took me some time to give you an example for it, but this is very important. Why? Because this is what I mentioned in the beginning of the lecture. If you don't know what are you dealing with, you cannot really know how to be protected or how to stop a hack for it. So in order to be good in defense, you need to understand what kind of system you are dealing with. Okay, so if anyone have any questions here about what we covered in embedded system so far? Everyone? I will not mention names because I know that you may be shy to be asked directly, but I wanted you guys at least to show me some faces in the chat box or some faces. I know that you are using WhatsApp a lot, so yes. Thank you very much, Brown. Yeah, that's exactly what I told you guys. If someone was able to hijack US drone using actually a satellite communication. Thank you very much, Brown, for bringing the topic. So if you guys want to read about it, it's very interesting. So everyone is okay with this page? Everyone knows at least what is embedded system? It's a small computer with a static, and we mentioned why we static and what is the difference between static and dynamic. Thank you very much. So let's go with what we expect to see in an embedded system. Like if we go and actually open an embedded system, or actually go to a factory where we're gonna look at an embedded system, how it looks like. Is it gonna looks like something like a drone, or something like a UFO, or what is actually it looks like? So in order to give you an example, if you look here, this is taking from an actually a factory, and this is how the embedded system looks like. So all of these white things, they call it PLC, programmable logical controller, and we will talk about what is a programmable logical controller right now. And all of this ports here, it's an input and output ports where you can actually control some sensors and read data from some sensors. Like for example, you want to read the temperature, so you will connect this blue line all the way to the sensor of a temperature, so you can read the data. While, for example, this purple cable is connected to another tank, and this tank will and this cable will measure how much fluid in this tank, while the other cable will do another functionality. And all this reading and writing is being controlled and monitored by the PLC unit. So think about the PLC as a processor or a human mind. This is what I'm gonna read, and this is what I'm gonna do, and who is gonna help me to do or read or write? This port is which is gonna help me to read and write, and this is the brain. Okay, so imagine this is like a human, and the white thing is the brain, and these cables are the hands and the sensors, or the eyes, or the hands that can help this brain to function. Okay, and this is what is all about what is PLC. Okay, so the PLC is programmed to check the temperature every 10 seconds. Okay, the PLC is programmed to check how much is the tank is full with a certain liquid or no. Okay, the PLC is gonna check if the tank is full. Now I have to empty the tank so I can start the whole process again. So the PLC is programmed with all this. Okay, and they do this all the time. Some of these PLC units, guys, it stays in the same factory for maybe 20 years, 30 years, doing the same exact thing. One of the very famous example of actually PLC units is Siemens. Okay, ABB. If you guys have ever heard about these names, this is actually a PLC, and that's why Siemens and ABB is very, very famous when it comes to logical control of embedded systems. Okay, have you guys heard about these names before? Schneider, all these names. Have you guys been exposed to any of them? Ustaza Sheikha, mashallah, good. Who else, guys, heard about this stuff? I wanted just to know if you guys heard about BLCs, embedded system, logical controller. Okay, have we covered the word logical controllers in a understandable way or comprehended way, or I went through it very quickly? Shall I explain it one more time?
I got a question about the logical controller.
Okay, go ahead.
So what's the difference between logical controller and an SDN control? SDN.
SDN is networks of IoTs that communicate between a lot of IT embedded system within a network using some certain connectivity like ZigBee communication protocol. But the BLC itself is one of these things inside the network. Like if you, yeah, you got what I'm saying? Like if
so
you have
the component inside the SDN.
Exactly, it's one component.
All right, got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, but a very good question. Thank you for your question. Okay, so now also we can look at the real-time operating system. What is RTOS? Okay, what is related to a time operating system? This is an operating system. It may be a Windows or Linux, but it's actually made and designed to tell you exactly what is happening on this embedded system. What is the reading from the sensor? How can we write to the sensor? Okay, so this is called real-time operating system, RTOS or RTOS. Okay, so this is very important also, and we'll find it in a lot of places. So where we can find it? Also in factories. Okay, in factories you go and you see very nice Windows machine, and when you double click in a certain icon in this screen, it will show you all the factory in this screen, all the sensor, all the BLC units, and you can start actually control these system and sensors from one screen. Some of them they call the RTOS operating system, real-time operating system at HMI. Okay, but the idea here is you have an operating system that is designed to control a factory or to control a BLC and read from BLC and components from and the components inside the factory. And we will get to know what is system on chip and what is field programmer. But I just wanted to show you some also embedded system examples. If you can see this, guys, I used to do this as a project with my students in the university. So what we used to do, this is called Arduino embedded system, okay, or microcontroller, okay, and this is like a processor. Okay, everyone can see my screen right now. Can you see where I'm actually telling you guys? Guys, can you see it? Okay, good. Thank you, Atlal. Thank you, Razan. Okay, so you guys see this is a processor, okay, and this is, as I mentioned, a power socket. Okay, this is maybe an Ethernet, this one over here, and this is actually another connection to the this, and all these pins, okay, is input and output pins. Okay, so what I used to do with my students, we connect this through a USB, and we start to program this this controller with a certain task. Okay, and what I let my students to do is I let my students to create something called smart gates. So when your car is coming to the gates, it will read the car plate number, okay, or it will read the badge on the car. It will verify in the database if the car is allowed to enter the parking. The barrier will open with a motor, and it will allow the car to enter. After 5 minutes, it will close the barrier, and it will keep do this all the time. So by doing this, why we called it a smart gate? Because we don't need any guard now or someone in the parking to open for the gates, and he have a list and he check which car's number is allowed and which car's number is not allowed. It's all automated using this system. And that's actually why this system is used, because I need limited human intervention. I don't need human to do this anymore. I can use this programming, okay, it's a small programming device to actually to do the job of a human. So everyone got understand what I meant by it's a complete computer, but in the same time, it's actually static. So it's gonna do this task for maybe 10 years, 20 years till this board or this processor will not work anymore, and then I cannot use it for any other thing. So I hope this actually explain how embedded system will work in a reality. And you can do this, and you can program it with anything you want. You can use it in a drone. You can use it in a smart gate, as I mentioned. Try to run it through a little faster. Okay. Okay. So let's go and look at this embedded system communications considerations. What we mean by this, ya shabab? What I meant by this, it's very important to know that these network BLCs needs a communication channels to communicate the sensors reading and writing. Okay, so we need to know what kind of communication protocols they use. This is very important. Okay, we need to understand what kind of medium. What we mean by medium, ya shabab? When I say medium, what we mean by medium here? When I say medium, Ustaz Ibrahim Raspberry. Bravo, Ustaz Ibrahim. I like your comment. Good. This is Raspberry فعلا. Hi, Shabab. Well, do you know what is medium is when I'm talking about networks? What is our medium and when it comes to network? Can someone tell me? Who studied introduction to networks or network communication or TCP, IP communication module or OSI module? Have you guys heard about these topics before? Have you been introduced to a medium? Oh, bravo, says the Sheikh. Good. The medium is either wired or wireless. So anything that will actually transfer the signals between two devices, we called it medium. This is the bottom line. Whether it's wired or wireless, okay, it's still called medium. So it's either physically a cable, a coaxial cable, Ethernet cable, or it's actually a wireless cable. Okay, so he's saying you have to understand these networks. You have to understand these networks are not similar to our TCP and Ethernet. Some of them are completely different because it's relying on serial communication. We also need to know that some of them are using our cellular networks, okay, to communicate, okay. Some of them, they are using a specific protocol, which is limited in size, okay, like Z-Wave and ZigBee, which is gonna be working in a certain range, like in a small range. Or we're gonna use also LTE machine type communication, which is allow a communication between machine and machine within a small networks. But the bottom line here, which is I wanted you understand, if you got to work in an OT environment, which is SCADA environment or BLC environment or embedded system environment, one of the things you need to know in order to secure these networks, okay, one of the things you need to understand the communication language or communication protocols used within this environment. Without understanding communications protocols, you will not be able 100% secure this environment. So this is the bottom line of this, okay? So I will just move a little bit faster because you know, I only promised my colleagues that it's only going to be 1 hour to cover the first 12 slides. We have also here, if you guys look at this, this is industrial control system. So this is how the control system in a factory looks like. Okay, if you guys look here, this is some BLCs that I mentioned from a little bit. These sums are sensors, okay, or indicators or temperature sensors, or it's a monitor to monitor the temperature. And all of these are connected to something called HMI. And you have some engineering who can look at the HMI, which is a screen, and this screen will allow him to control the BLC, and he will be able also to see what kind of sensor, and if the sensor is working or no, if he need to do intervention or no, if the whole process is working in a perfect way or no. So I give you an example for a complete industry system. Let's look at the Have you guys seen before the how car manufacturers how car manufacturer factory looks like from inside? Like in the TV or in YouTube or anything, maybe Tesla manufacturer lines, how it looks like from inside? Ibrahim said yes, that's good. How about you guys? Anyone else? Ustaz Noura بتقول no. Okay, so yeah, Noura, let's focus with this. So Noura, let's say we have a line, and this line, the body of the car will be connected to this line, and this line will be going slowly. And in every stage, the car body, which is empty right now, will be a robotic arm that will add a component to this car body. By end of this car body, by end of this line, the car will be ready to be taken out to the customer. So this is in a very simple format. You have, طبعا it's more complicated than this, but I'm just saying this is a line, and this is a car body which is empty. There is no motors, there is no tires, there is no doors, there is nothing. And then every stage, the doors will be installed. Another stage, the motor will be installed, and so on. Okay. So this is a completely automated way. What I mean by automated way, there is a robotic arm that it will do certain things at a certain time in this manufacture line. And when it's in, the car is ready, it will take the car and start it to, someone will drive the car to outside. So this is how the actually industrial control system will look like. Okay. So now I have an engineer. He wanted to monitor this. Okay. He wanted to monitor this all the time, because if one car is stopped, you know, this can cause a lot of loss, a lot of money issues for the company. Because if you have an industrial line or have a manufacturing line stopped for 2 hours, that means maybe it will delay the cars that's gonna be delivered for a customer, and it's gonna make for the company some losses. Okay, so I need an engineer who is watching what is happening on the line, and he can do some intervention on the right time. And I need also a PLC, which is like a computer brain, saying at that stage, the car doors or the robotic arm need to install the car doors. I need at this stage, the glasses to be installed. I need in this stage, the motor to be installed. So you get what I'm saying, Noura? Did I explain to you in like something visual? If you didn't, if I didn't explain it to you well, you just write on YouTube car manufacture lines, and you can see something really amazing. Even Amazon delivery, guys, if you order something from Amazon, you have no idea, especially if you looked also on YouTube, how Amazon stores looks from inside, and how many robotic arms are working inside these places to deliver things to you in a very efficient and time efficient way. Anyway, so I'm just giving you what is industry control system looks like. And this, I am encouraging everyone to know what is Stuxnet is all about. This is actually the first virus in the world that's made specifically to attack this SCADA network. And it made specifically to attack the Iranian facility. So if it, I give you an example to know how advanced this Stuxnet is. Okay, they took years to understand what the virus is actually doing. So it meant to disable the Iranian program. I don't want to go in deep details because it's fascinating. If we just give like a whole session about how Stuxnet works, it will not be enough. But again, for your own information, for your own passion, if you need to know about cybersecurity, there is a very good YouTube video called 0 Days. It's like around 50 minutes. I know you guys, maybe you don't have the time or maybe you are busy, but watch a little bit from this video. You will be fascinated by how the Stuxnet has been developed and how many versions was there and what this virus was all about and how long the researcher took to just understand what this Stuxnet is all about. So, but again, for me, in a nutshell, the Stuxnet was the first virus are meant to destroy an industry control system. And it made in a way that it will look for a certain control system, which is certain facility, which is the Iranian facility, and will only destroy this facility. If you took this virus and put it in any other country, in any other place, it will not work. It will be deactivated. So this is one of the things that actually you cannot wrap your mind about how much techniques they used to develop this Stuxnet. Thank you, Haya, for Haya, mashallah, and Brown is helping me very much today. Thank you, guys. This is very good YouTube video about Stuxnet and 0 days. I actually encourage everyone to read it, okay, or to even watch it when you have some time, okay. So what is Internet of Things? Okay, so this is what we explained before. It used to be, Shabab, in only factories. It used to be only in signals, traffic signals. But now, a lot of sensors that exist in our environment, a lot of sensors that exist in our home appliances are coming with internet connection. That means that our attacks can not only goes to this factory, which is very important for us, it actually can exceed and comes to our home. Like, for example, I give you an example to you have at home. And this is especially because I lived in Europe a little bit. So I know, like, we have in Holland, in Netherlands, we have a meter that it can measure the electricity, and this meter are connected to the internet. So this meter actually can what it's gonna do? It can read how much you consumed every month from electricity point of view, and it will communicate this to the power station without sending a human to read the reading and then send you the invoice. So this is all automated and all installed in your home, and it's connected to the internet. Okay, so let's give you this example. Okay, what if someone was managed to hack these meters? You say, okay, what is the big deal? He will read the reading. It's not a big deal. Okay, but these meters also, Shabab, have a buttons and have functionality to stop the cooling, and I will not say the cooling in Europe. It will be called the gas and it's called the cooling system in the house, and how warm the house will be. Okay, so if someone was able to disable this meter middle of January, which is maybe minus 10 degrees outside, and inside the house it's freezing, you can actually die because of this. Okay, so this is one example of you having a meter, and this meter are connected to the internet, and attacker, because it's connected to the internet, someone can take actually compromise these meters. Okay, and he started to manipulate these meters. So this is one of the things that you can actually. So our houses in the next 20 years or the next 10 years specifically, it will be full of these appliances. Okay, I don't know if you guys know about there is an initiative by Sheikh Mohammed, I think, to create a new city called The Line. Okay, and this city will be all controlled by the internet and all full of IoT. Do you heard about The Line? You guys know about this initiative? Okay, bravo. Ustaz Ibrahim, he's saying yes. Okay, so this is very also interesting thing you guys really need to know about it. And this will be a good opportunity for you guys if you are interested about Internet of Things and how this appliance will communicate with each other, how the cars in the future will be communicated all the time with the manufacturer and with the internet of 5Gs. This is all you can read about it, and it's very interesting topic, and it's actually, I think it's a very good career opportunities for people who's actually consider this. But and from sense of security, okay, all these devices connected to the internet with no proper defense in depth, it will cause so much harm as it will cause so much good things. Okay, so we need also to know how to protect our IoT. Okay, even our wearable, sensor, home automation is all considered part of Internet of Things. Okay, I'll just go more specifically, he said part of the things that we will see in the future, or it's actually happening right now. It's a system for facility automation. It's called building automation system, and this is what you can see in a new building specifically. If you guys look at the new building, you will have a board and downstairs in the building, and this board is connected to all the apartment in the building, and each apartment will have different sensors. We'll have smoke detector sensors, we have light sensors, we have air condition sensors, we have maybe firefighting systems, and all of them are connected to one board in this system. For example, I live right now in Abu Dhabi, and in my building right now, we have one of these BAS system, which is building automation system, and all the systems, all the smoke detectors in the building is connected to one of these systems. Okay, so imagine, guys, if there is one single smoke detector is activated, the person or the guard downstairs, he will knows about this immediately, and he will call the firefighting, or he will call the owner of the sensor of the apartment, and he is trying to investigate what is happening. Okay, so this is just a small idea about building automation system. This building automation system, what I just mentioned, is a small example, okay, for what actually is going to be the future. You will have a lot of these systems installed in each building, and especially in the new smart city here in Abu Dhabi, they have a city called Masdar City, which is everything is connected and controlled by a central location, the air conditioning, the lighting, the cooling system, everything. But he was trying to mention here, because we have these systems are connected, and these systems are actually, we can access it using a web application, or we can use it using maybe a smart device from our phones. You know, there is some new houses now in the US and Dubai and all these places where you can actually turn on the air condition before you arrive home 10 minutes or 15 minutes using your mobile phone or using a web browser. Okay, so these all things are opening the space for more attacks. Okay, so yes, the BAS system is very good. It can actually save money. It can make our life easier. It can give us a great opportunity to come to control over our systems, but in the same times we have to consider these systems are actually can be attacked. And if you guys look at this is cross-site scripting attacks means this is a web attacks. So if you have a web application for this system, someone can actually attack this system. Okay, so this is what I just mentioned in our house in Netherlands, the smart meters. This is going to be everywhere. This is the small man or the guy who comes to you to read the electricity meters in your house or wherever. This guy will not be there in 5-10 years. This is smart meters will actually will be the thing, and as I mentioned, it's connected to the internet, and this is open the door for attacks. Okay. This is also a specialized system in IT, like voice over IP, how it works, and multifunction printers. This is what he mentioned in this. He mentioned along with all our SCADA systems and all this stuff, we have also in every single facility and every single factory some of stuff that actually can open the door for attacks. For example, multifunction printer. What is a multifunction printer? Who studied A+ certification or have been in a working environment where they are using a multifunction printer? Or even maybe you can have it at home also nowadays, because the cost of multifunction printer has been dropped dramatically through the years. Guys, anyone knows? Or this is a break time? So you guys stop to think about it. Do you know what is multifunction printer? It's easy. Yes or no?
Yes, it's a normal printer.
Yeah.
Copy, scan, do fax,
Oh, bravo.
and yep,
Fantastic. Yes, thank you very much. This
no
is
problem.
exactly what it is. Thank you very much. Sorry, I didn't get your name. What is your good name?
Abdullah.
Abdullah. Mesh. Perfect, Abdullah. Abdullah has already explained it in a perfect way. Okay, he said this is the printer that actually have a scanner and fax machine and a copier and can do also printer. But these printer nowadays, guys, are not only connected to our network and only network. Some of these printers are connected to our router at house. And what means it's connected to our router at house, it's somehow connected to the internet. So if the software running these printer are vulnerable for attacks, this printer can actually pose a security threat to our networks. So whether it's installed in a factory or whether it's installed in our house, it can actually impose some of attacks vectors to our network. What is voice over IP? Did you guys know what is voice over IP? Had any one of you guys used voice over IP? Okay, so let me explain what is voice over IP. This is actually utilizing the networks, okay, not only to carry data and application, also to carry our voice communication. This is in a very simple way, okay? And they find this is very cheap because we already have a very complicated network connected, which is the internet. And that's why Skype become a very big thing back in 5-10 years ago, before Microsoft bought Skype, and it now turned Skype to Teams, okay, to Microsoft Teams. So it's actually utilizing the internet and the network we have as a backbone to also for voice calls, Bravo says Ibrahim, to make our voice call and now video calls and even sharing presentation and all this stuff, okay? So the voice over IP is also, it's a great innovation. It's helped us to communicate. It helped us to actually do things in a much better way and in a lower cost. But in the same times, now you can just, open the Skype or open Microsoft Teams and call someone in the US. It will not cost you anything because you have an internet connection. But you have bear in mind, okay, in the future, okay, so 10 years ago, this was not actually something you can do, or maybe 15 years ago, okay, and it will cost you a lot of money just to hear someone in the US. So with this great innovation, it's also opened the door for an attacks to voice over IP. So people actually are attacking the voice over IP infrastructure. I'm not going to go in details about this, but all I can do is just to wrap up that here also there is a lot of systems, medical devices that use embedded system in our day-to-day, okay? And even I wanted just to comment about one of these things here. I can let you, inshallah, to read it. Kill or injure patients or threaten to do so by tampering with dosage level or device settings. You know what this means? Means I just read an article about German hospital, okay? They have their system, the ICU, the intensive care unit, okay, connected to the internet. And some of these intensive care units system was attacked by ransomware. And you know what happened? When they attacked this ransomware, the application and the systems, they asked for a lot of money, and they couldn't afford to pay this money, or they didn't pay it. And they said, okay, we had very critical patient, we will move it to another hospital. So what happened is, okay, they said, let's move this guy to another hospital. And while they moving the guy to another hospital, this guy died. Okay, so what happened here? So one ransom attacks in the ECU unit, okay, computer system, was actually a cause of someone. So this shows you where this all embedded system and all these devices, when it connect to the internet, is actually posing a huge threat, okay? And you say, okay, I'm hospital, I'm away from all these attacks. No, you are target of these attacks because most probably your system is not built with the security in mind. So even the medical devices, we should implement some defense in depth to actually protect our network when it comes to this. Okay, Shabab? security for embedded system, you need to do network segmentation. The meaning of network segmentation here means you have to be able to segment your network or actually make a zones. Okay, these zones are disconnected from this internet because it has very important devices and I don't want to be exposed to the internet and attacks from internet. These areas, maybe I wanted people to actually browse the internet, this area in between. And this is what, if you guys studied a firewall, and one of the things is actually definition of firewall is network segmentation. But what we mean by network segmentation, it can tell you this is untrusted zone. I don't want anyone coming from this untrusted zone. This is a trusted zone. This is a DMZ. So this is what we mean by network segmentation. And this is what we call IPsec or rubbers. What we mean by this, ya shabab, that's our communication that's between these devices. As I mentioned, it goes as a clear text. So anyone will be able actually to see the data. So one of the things that we said in the beginning of the lecture, that there is encryption. What is encryption? Is a way to hide this communication in the plain text. So IPsec, one of the protocol, actually can actually help you to actually achieve authentication and encryption. Firmware code control and ability to batch. This is all things that's it's related to embedded system. And ability to batch means these systems are made from a specific firmware and software, and I cannot just get the newest software and install it on these devices right away, because there is a probability that when I install this batch or install this update, the system will not work anymore. So because of this, ya shabab, because of I'm worried that will happen. And the best choice for you at that instance is to have a virtual environment, or you have a test environment where you can actually apply these patches to it and see if after applying the patches, your environment will still work or no. And then you will be able to actually install it in the production environment. I will stop here because this is where I was supposed to cover. I will leave the part of mobile device deployment model. I'm very sorry that I rushed at the end. I just wanted to ask you guys, do you have any questions so far, guys? Hello, can you guys hear me? Okay.
First of all, I will introduce myself to you all. My name is Muhammad Uzair Siddiqui, and I am hired as an associate instructor over here in Coding Dojo. I was basically training a lot of people. It's been long, so training different courses like CompTIA Plus, Network Plus, Security Plus. I myself have given different certifications like CompTIA Network Plus, Security Plus, Amazon Solution Architect. If you have any question for Amazon, like how to create a network, you can ask me. I've given CCNA, the latest one. So if you have any question regarding Cisco as well, Palo Alto, Linux, and the ITIL, and PMP. So I've been training a lot of different courses, and Security Plus is one of my best part that I normally deal with. So I hope that things will get through quickly. So guys, that was quite a lecture previously. So what the mobile device deployment models are? MDM. Normally we say MDM a lot. And in a real network, this is getting very, you require a lot of security for mobile devices now. Like if I talk about 12 or 15 years back when I started my career, at that time there was no mobile devices allowed, and we used to check by like just checking everyone, and the security was not that much high. But because of the mobile devices, now you can just carry your mobile phone anywhere, and you can just take the snapshots, you can take the pictures, you can do the recording, and for the spying purpose you can use the mobile device very easily. So that's why MDM is getting very important in our real world. I will just explain you, like, that's the labs are different and these lectures are theory a lot, but really how you use the MDM and how you use the mobile devices and how you really secure them. So guys, if you heard about Azure, and that was a very, normally we talk about Azure these days, and Amazon. So Azure is basically for Microsoft, Amazon, like the Amazon it is, so they are providing the web services. Normally we do have a very good MDM in Azure that we normally use, that I was using. I was working for Cisco Systems, just to tell you, inform you all, and I normally give consultancy for the data security. So and that's why we required Azure and Amazon for that. And normally I basically for Cisco Systems, my prime topics are, and the product that I deploy are cybersecurity appliances like Cisco ESA, that is the email security appliance, and the web security appliances, that how you secure a real network. The more important for any of the network guys, very, very important. You guys are student, you are starting your career. So always remember that your prime job is data. You need to secure the data, like the person sitting over there in the room. So you are a security guy, your prime focus is that the data is secure, the protection of the data is important. So that's the real job. So same things like for the MDM. When we talk about the mobile device deployment, so MDM Azure is dealing very good MDM. So over there, what are the good parts in the security over here in the Azure, and even in Amazon, like what you can do while you're using MDM? So like you can stop the usage of camera, you can stop the usage of any of the device, for example, voice recording, you can stop the cellular network, you can wipe all of the data by clicking only. You can restrict the people who are bringing their devices inside the organization, that you will not allow to use cellular data. The real world talks like this, guys. So like you're entering, you're going somewhere, getting inside any of the organization, and if the security guys are really tough, so what they will do, when you enter the fencing, so your mobile data will be stopped, your everything would be stopped, you are enforced. There's something known as NAC. So we will talk about this. So NAC is something, a device, that's some policies that you normally create. You enforce the people who are coming inside that, yes, you need to obey us. We are the security guys. I'm the cyber security guy. You need to obey us and you need to follow our instructions, like when you are entering in any of the environment. So in the real world, when you enter somewhere, if the security guys are tough, so they will stop your cameras of your mobile device, they will stop your download, they will stop your surfing, they will stop that you cannot take any pictures, you cannot take any recordings, you cannot record anything. Your mobile phone will be just an instrument for them, so they control each and everything. So really, that is known as MDM, that is role as mobile device deployment models. So we do have different models, and that's a bring your own device, just like a BYOD is very commonly, you have your own mobile phone, iPhone, Android, Samsung, whatever, you are just taking your device in the environment, so that's your own device. Corporate owned, business only. Now if you have worked with any of the sales team or any of the pre-sales team, I was working and for the Cisco for a long time, and they gave me a device. So that was company owned device that I cannot use it for my personal use. So that was a restricted device. So that was totally restricted. So I cannot download anything. I cannot use that device for the surfing or anything, for taking pictures or anything. So that was company owned, corporate owned. Like you can go for the containerization, like that's a very good thing that we normally have, that you can create a container for that. So that's yes, solid. So Haya, thank you. So that's like one thing that you can do. Corporate owned devices, corporate owned and personally enabled. So it's like more commonly we are using this one in our real environment. COP, or you can say COP. So that's a corporate owned, personally enabled. Company have given you a mobile phone, and you can use for your personal WhatsApp, you can use for your Facebook, you can use for that. But the best practice is that when you're using this one, you need to create a container where you can save your own data. Your data and the company data should be separated. There should be a lining between you and the company data. You cannot mix everything. And what thing important, like there's very, very important, guys, I don't want to go and mix you up, but DLP is very important, data loss prevention. What you can do, you can take your this data, your email, take a snapshot and put it over here. So that's very risky. As a security point of view, that's risky sometimes, because like you can just take a snapshot, or you can just take a picture, live picture, and use that email in the real environment, drop somewhere else. So containerization, a lot of things are included in that part. So MDM will help you in that. Choose your own device. Sometimes like this is the environment you are, this is me, I'm getting inside the environment. So I'm not allowed to take any of the devices. My devices would be kept in a locker. But when I enter in the organization, like there will be multiple devices I will be given, like iPads I will be given, or any of the Android device, Samsung, anything. Like if I want to use anything, I can choose my device that, okay, I will use the iPad today because like for the grocery, for anything. That's a future concept. So you just choose your device and you get into the network. So BYOD, COBO, or COP, or CYOD are the different models like in the MDM that we normally use. Moving forward, enterprise mobility management, EMM. There was someone I've like when I was going through the lectures, like Shady was telling you, I'm not sure who was that student, but he asked about SDN. That was very interesting. That was whoever asked, that was very, very interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure. Abdullah. Okay, that was, guys, dude, you are doing a nice job. So SD and SDA controllers, guys, software defined network. This EMM is also will be a part of SDN. I myself, I'm deploying Cisco DNA. Guys, I'm just telling the real example, real world, like that's not theory part. Cisco DNA, just search this one in your browser. Cisco DNA is the one of the coolest, I will say coolest appliance these days, will be the future of SDN controllers. Like you are sitting in your home and you're controlling the whole network, even the mobile devices. You can control the exchange, you can control everything, like in and out, firewalls, NAC policies. You are checking the URL filtering, you are checking the UVCs, you are checking the AVCs, that is known as application visibility control. So over there we have different type of APIs, northbound, southbound. I don't want to go inside that one, but SDN, that's a software defined network, or SDN, that's SDN controllers, are very important. Cisco DNA is one of the very coolest example. I will definitely encourage you, because EMM or any of the mobile device management would be the part of that in the future. Not in the future, I will definitely tell you by the end of this year or by the beginning, like everything would be there in the DNA. I will be just sitting and monitoring the whole network all around me. So going back to our topic of
my apology for interrupting you.
Yeah, please.
So what is the difference between DNA and SDN, or is it similar?
That's similar, sir. SDN,
yes, it looks similar.
Yeah, it's similar. It's similar. DNA is the example of that. That's the terminology that we are using, and DNA that you implement. Abdullah, seriously, if you're interested in, you can just comment.
I already worked in 5G test bed, a 5G test bed, and I have implemented a 5G environment in a Linux using Honest, using Manu. Yes, I was found the first student who implemented the 5G test bed on a lower computing resources.
Nice work, nice work.
Thank you.
You like guys, remember, please remember, I am not your instructor. I'm just associate instructor, but as an advice to you, try to explore things. If you want to go in cybersecurity, try to explore things. Try to go into different, like Palo Alto. I was working for Cisco, but I started to work for Palo Alto as well. I started to implement their firewalls. Like NSC, if you guys have heard about in the real world, like the same, like IBM QRadar is one of the coolest thing if you guys go inside this world. So learning is very, very important. Like this theory will be there, but the real world is quite a different. Like Abdullah was saying, it will be different. It's not like normal theory. You need to go through the manuals. There are thousands of the manuals in Cisco. Normally we work a lot in that. So anyways, going back to our topic, guys, EMM, MDM, EMM enterprise, only the word, just a single liner for you. Whenever you find anything like SME, that's the small medium enterprises, that we normally say. Enterprise means like where there are the people who, the employees working, or like thousands or like more than 100 or 200 employees, like we normally say, that's an SME. Normally when we sell and when we deploy the products like Palo Alto or Cisco products, so normally we deal with the SMEs because that's the corporate. So that's the, again, that's the top priority. Then comes the MDM, that's the mobile device management, like that's a part of it. So that's, I was just telling you, Azure, and you will find the MDM very commonly. And over there, you can just swipe wipe, you can kill everything. You can restrict people that you have to use our certificates. Like if you guys are familiar with the certificates, you're getting inside any of the enterprise, you enter like this, you are entering in some enterprise. So they will enforce you again. Over here, that's the thing. Network access control. This is the software you can buy, you can purchase it, guys. That's the policy enforcer. Very, very important in our real world. It enforces the policy that yes, you have to obey us. We are the bosses. You have to obey us. You have to follow our policies. Then whatever you want to do, you can just do it. But that is always in the DMZ where it's said that you need to follow our instructions. Whatever we are saying, you have to follow it. Mobile application management, that are just the policies that where you make. Like if you guys are familiar, or if you like, that's the portal. 90% there's a portal where there are policies, like you will find content filters are there, policy makings are there, simple email policies. Normally if you talk about policies, like there are different companies, they say that okay, we want to make a policy for example, that okay, nobody can use PDF files in our environment. So whenever there's an email coming, I will just create a content filter that whoever is using, like wherever there's a PDF file coming in the attachment, I will just remove that attachment. I will make a content filter for it. So those are the policies that we normally create, also known as a content filter, URL filtering. If you have an email, just an example, guys, you are having an email, cybersecurity, this is all cybersecurity. In that email, in the body of the email, you will find any malicious link. And that link is, for example, xyz.com. You just click that link and you are diverted to some site. And again, the attack is there. So how you can stop this? By using the URL filtering. So that's all comes under the policy. So what we are doing, mobile application management, we create a policy, like what policy that we will implement in our MDM. Unified endpoint management, word very, very important. This one, unified. I'm not sure like I'm allowed to use these highlighters or not, and these pens over here, because it's been a second week for me as well. So, but I will use just to make sure. Unified, very important. If you guys have, again, in Cisco, there's something known as unified network. Unified means, guys, that everything is coming under a single machine. Like unified network, for example, let's take an example of voice over IP. In Cisco, we have Cisco Jabber. There's an IM, Instant Messenger Jabber. We have a Cisco Team. We have Cisco WebEx. We have different Cisco more tools, CCW, like those are the internal tools as well. CCW for creating a BOM. BOM is bill of material that we normally create in our real world for licensing purpose. So what unified means, like everything is going towards the manager that is known as the Cisco manager that we normally create. So just like similarly, unified endpoint management, everything is unified, coming to a single point, that is a unified network we normally create. Guys, any question, anyone? Guys, please do ask me anything. Or clear? Or too quick? Perfect. Okay, iOS enterprise. iOS is an basically we have in this world like now, everything is been driven from Unix, guys. One of the important thing, Unix have, like, it was created like in 70s, I believe, and there were two languages were driven, like two systems were, operating systems were driven. One was for the Macintosh that is converted now, and one was Linux. Microsoft was the Bill Gates guys, and they were the team that they have created. So because it was driven from Unix, so it's like quite a very good in the security point of view, but still like there are attacks in the Apple world as well, and zero click attack. If you guys have heard about, there was a new virus that was introduced lately, that was a zero click, like you don't click anything but you get a spyware. And that was introduced lately by what was the company name, Black Hat. They have introduced that. Anyways, so Apple iOS ecosystem, Apple have their own development kit. Like Apple is all about proprietary. If you talk about Apple, whenever we're talking about Apple, so we are talking about proprietary. So that means like that's owned by Apple. Like you have to buy everything from us. Nothing is for free. So you have to buy a kit from us. SDK, software development kit, SDKs are there for specifically for Apple. That's why Apple is much better for the security. Still date, they are better because that's proprietary. They are not allowing anyone for the certification or anything, like they just install or enroll anything. Approval process release on the Apple Store. So I was working for one of the software houses sometime back, and actually I'm not a developer, but my job was to take all of the databases towards the Amazon and to put everything in the S3 buckets. If you have heard about like Amazon, again, that's a huge topic for like 90% thing will be moving towards cloud. So at that time, that software house, what their job was just like there is an application Careem or Uber, like they just take the check for the GPS and for the car purpose, like you must have heard about Uber. So they were doing the same job. So if any of the client have iPhone, so they have registered their application in Apple Store. So you cannot directly upload anything in the Apple Store. You must require certificates for that. You need to accept their certificates. So iOS, that's why iOS is better than I will say another Android or even Microsoft. So that's proprietary. B2B facilitates require device enrollment. Just like the certificates, you need to enroll your software for that and you need to enroll your devices. When you're using MDM, guys, again, MDM. When you're using MDM in Azure, you need to enroll your device. Like you are getting inside the environment again. You cannot use the internet. You cannot use your phone while you enter the environment. You need to enroll your device. Why we use enrollment? Just to make sure that if you are using, for example, Abdullah is using iPhone. So Abdullah's iPhone have a MAC address. That is a unique address. MAC address is always a unique address. That MAC address would be enrolled in MDM controllers where that registered would be there. That's the enrollment of the device. Now whenever Abdullah or Haya, whoever enters in the environment, they don't need to enroll again. So their devices are enrolled. So that's the good part of, there is something there's something, guys, if you have again time, I will just give you Cisco ISE. Very cybersecurity. If you are planning to go inside cybersecurity, far away, like move your career a lot, so study ISE, Cisco ISE. Cisco ISE introduced this word enrollment. Like that's just for a reminder, guys. I was working on Cisco ISE as well. So enrollments are very important. You enroll your device. So that's why there's a list of devices. Like the security guy will see like whoever is using what device. So if Franklin is there, I will block Franklin. It's like, okay, Franklin, you're not allowed to use the Facebook, or you are not allowed to use the Facebook chat, or you're not allowed to use YouTube. So enrollment is very important when you're enrolling, because you're not attached with ADs. Why we are using this? Because Active Directories are not involved. That's the reason. I'm pretty much sure like you must have heard about Active Directory. So that's the Microsoft world where you just enroll like username and the passwords are being attached with the Active Directories. Normally we use Active Directories 90% in our environment. Volume purchase program, developers enterprise program, like whenever you're creating any software, we have client-side softwares, we have a developer enterprise program as well. Like you are the developer, you're creating any iOS application and you have a different access for that. Or EMM suite like MS Tune, yes, you can create, you can buy that one. That's nothing is not free in this world. So you need to buy all of the suits. There are a lot of suits in this world, so you can buy. Create a wrapper. Wrapper is like Shadi told, in the previous lecture about IPsec. IPsec is basically a wrapper. That is basically a VPN. In VPN, you normally use the wrappers for it, such that your data is encrypted. Why we are using wrapping? If for encryption purpose, from one end to the other end, you use wrappers. Android enterprises, Android users, if you are so similar, just like the normally, just like the iOS. So Android is the open source. You can create your application. It's like very, very important point, much more freedom for the developers. So the developers are much comfortable and it's easy as well, because that's like easier for, that's not proprietary. You're not buying certificates. You're not buying anything from Apple. Unlikely in Android world, you just create your own codes and you directly create your applications, release apps on Google Play or the Amazon stores or others. So like you create anything, when you're talking about Android, you create anything, you can just release it directly to the Google Play or the Apple Store, the Amazon app. You can directly put that your application over there. Android SDK, again, the software kits are there available on the all OS, including Linux. So 90% like that would be on Linux, because like we are using Linux for that reason, but Apple is again proprietary. That's the basic difference. Uses EMM suites and framework called Knox. Samsung normally uses framework, guys. We have a lot of frameworks. Like I normally train students on ITIL framework. We have Cobalt framework. We have different Prince2, if you guys have heard about PMI frameworks, security frameworks, ISOs, like 30,000K, like I have given 30K one. So that's like, there are so many frameworks. Knox is one of the common one used for EMM. I myself have not used that practically as an implemented. I've never implemented that, but those are the frameworks. You just follow the instructions of the framework and you implement them. Android devices not updated as quickly as iOS. Yes, more open to attack. Obviously, attackers are doing experimental purpose. They are using Android devices. They are checking, they're finding things like to get into the environment, because again, mobile devices are very, very, very important, and they're getting in a high risk. That's why DNA is getting there. ICE is more towards the BYODs, like bringing your own device. Cisco ICE. Palo Alto is also registering the devices a lot in the real world. Yeah, for that purpose, open source, that's like obviously for Rise Android open source. That's why I like it. Thanks, Ibrahim, for the input. So that's why Android is a little vulnerable, more than that. But again, if you're working on Linux and you're working and you are at the time of staging, like if you're creating any application at the time of staging, when you are putting a stress test, fuzzing the devices a lot, putting a lot of attacks, destroying the device, at that time you check the vulnerabilities. 90%, that is the longest phase in the deployment when you are creating any application. And we used to do that, like putting a lot of stress, using a lot of SQL injections, DLL injections, try to put everything. A lot of effort is there, but again, vulnerability is there always, guys. Always remember, sandboxing is a very good terminology. Still recommend sandboxing new apps. So like that's what sandboxing is very terminology. I believe like you must be knowing about sandboxing. If not, just a quick one-liner. I won't take a lot of time of yours now. Sandboxing is a process of testing purpose. Like whenever there's something known as, again, search in the real world, you guys will be ready to find a job now. Go search Cisco Talos Cloud. Cisco Talos Cloud is used for this sandboxing purpose. I use that, very, very common. Palo Alto use Wildfire. These are the cloud, intelligence cloud, where you go, you find the different SHA files are there, different attacks are there. You can just monitor each and everything. Sandboxing is a process like, for example, I'm dropping an email to Ibrahim, and Ibrahim received that email, and there's something issue with the PDF file. So if I've installed some good gateway, email gateway, so what that email gateway will do, email gateway will take that email, not deliver to Ibrahim, or there are two options. It can remove that PDF, deliver the body, but not the PDF file. PDF file would be taken by the email gateway. It will be taken towards the Cisco Talos Cloud. Talos Cloud is used for the sandboxing purpose. Over there, I will check, like there are the scoring purpose that is known as SBRS scores. That is SBRS score. That is the reputation score. If the reputation score, for example, SHA file of that PDF was 1 at that time, but after 3 days, sandboxing is continuous checking, like if it's becoming a malware or not. That's a real thing, how it works. It is changing the score or not. If the score is changed from 1 till -5, that means that was a malware. If the score doesn't change after 3 days, I'm a security guy, I will release that file again to Ibrahim. Sorry for that. That yes, your file is being there. You can quarantine the file as well. You can send an alert, you can block. So sandboxing is very good for the testing purpose, just to check. Cisco Talos Cloud is doing the job. Wildfire is doing the intelligence. Thousands, millions of these SHA files are there. So you can search for it. So you can just put on the Google Cloud. Is it more vulnerable? I'm not getting you, Abdullah. I didn't get the question over here. Abdullah, can you repeat it? Is it more vulnerable, Ibrahim?
No, I'm talking to Ibrahim when he said that. Yeah.
Okay. So good. Like you guys are doing the discussion. So yes, definitely. So directly practice, guys. Directly go to the Cisco Talos Cloud. Directly go check the Wildfire for Palo Alto firewalls. You will find a lot of SHA strings. You will find a lot of vulnerabilities over there, and you can study that. Don't go for the study at the moment. Study this bootcamp, but just for your own practical knowledge, like how really things work, directly go over there. Mobile access control system, smartphone authentication. Obviously, you require a PIN code for that, for 4-digit PIN code, or you can just put a screen lock. You can go for a biometric. Like there are different type of authentication. You must have, like Lloyd must have taught you, like something you know, somewhere you are, something you are, and somewhere you are. So those are different type of the authentication. Something you know is your password, your PIN number. So you can use the 2-factor authentication, or you can go for the multi-factor authentication. Those type of the smartphone authentication, like it's always good if you're giving any mobile phone to any of the client or any of the employee. So now 90% we use the MFA, like the SMS are also there, email is also there. Just in the banking environment, like when we deploy anything in our environment, so MFAs are very important. Screen lock, yes, you can go for the screen lock. You can go for the biometric for your devices. You can lock the screens. Context aware authentication, that's again a policy that normally we do have in our firewall, context aware. So where you can just put them. Yes. Okay, so that's the context where. So who, like few of the things you need to ask yourself: who employs customer partners if you're talking about the organization. So in the organization, for example, if you talk about Junipers have their own employees, they have their partners who are basically working with them, and they have guest users. So we can have the different categories. We can create a different zones in our firewall. For the guest users, we can segment our network using VLANs. We can do something for our customers. So we can just divide our network. What personal devices, NOx, or company assets, that's like what is like that is owned by the company, or that's your own asset. Personal devices, how, like there's a medium, wired, wireless. Whenever you find the word wired, so that means 802.2 or 3. So that means this is Ethernet. 802 is a standard for IEEE. 2 and 3 is for the wired network. If you find .11, A, B, G, N, AC, AX is the Wi-Fi 6 now, so that's wireless. VPN, that means like we are talking about IPsec, we are talking about SSL, we are talking about transport mode, tunnel mode, like a lot of modes are there in our VPN world. So like you can use for the VPN. How? Where you are using this context awareness security. Coffee shop, obviously that's more vulnerable. Extranet, it's apart from the DMZ, that's again more important, or headquarters, where are you using it. When, like at what time your security it should be at high alert, like could be weekends. And what you can do, you can create a policy, guys. If you have used Active Directories and group policies, in Active Directories we have group policy GPOs. In the GPOs, I started my career as an administrator, so normally 90%, like as an IT guy, we start our career with the administrators. So group policies are very commonly used, like you can restrict them, that okay, at 9 to 5 you're not using. Yes, yes, nice discussion. However, Android has a good security unless you're letting yourself to open to third parties such as downloading app files, and that could be a full of malware. Yes, definitely, guys. Very, very good knowledge. That's the good thing about like this is the first time like in the coding dojo I've seen you the student. So that's very important. Like obviously when you're going for a download or anything like iOS, like for the iOS, guys, remember again, proprietary, Apple is asking for you money. So Android is totally like open source is totally could busy like free Android. So that's why I will suggest study Android more, because like you will get a lot of jobs in that. Android, iOS developers are getting good jobs these days. Cybersecurity is very good for them. So good guys, good discussion. So moving forward, remote wipe. Very, very, very good term. I will highlight this like there's a circle. In a real world security guy, you're sitting somewhere, you say that, okay, I think Franklin is fishy. So if I have a little, I think skeptical about that. So what I will do, I will just, there's just a click, like in our Azure world, this is the GUI, graphical user interface of the MDM. So there's a command written over here. There's a button that is known as remote wipe. So, and the different addresses are the MAC addresses. Apart from the MAC address, you will find the devices they are using. For example, Franklin is using iPhone, and Ibrahim is using Apple. Abdullah is using iPad, for example. So every device is enrolled and you know about that. So if you think that, okay, someone is doing something, so that just a click, you click it, that's gone. 90% hackers, as a hacker, they're hiding the devices, and they're scared of this remote wipe. That's also known as a kill swipe. Kill swipe, you can use a similar word. That's a kill swipe that you can use. Sanitization, lost stolen phones, like 90% of this sanitization is just remove the data, sanitize there. That's known as a disposal. Like there are policies in our companies that we normally create. That's what is all about in when we talk about stolen phones or sanitization. So that's like you just destroy disposal data, dispose your data after 5 days, 10 days. In our cloud world, that's very, very commonly used disposal policies. Lost stolen phones, like when the phone is stolen, so just use this command. Be aware of what a bad guy can prevent a remote wipe by ensuring the phone cannot connect to the network, then hacking the phone and disabling the security. So now obviously you need to be sure that you're using a good security system for that reason. Moving forward, FDE and external media. So what the FDE is, and what actually, that's known as full device encryption, and that's what we use FDE. 90%, like as a data engineers at the 90%, as I was telling you, the most important job for you is the data protection. For that reason, what normally we do, we buy, there's something known as endpoint protection. Like normally we are using Cisco AMP endpoint protections. These are the license that you need to, that's the advanced malware protection for the endpoints that we are using. For the McAfee, you can use it. For the Symantec, we do have the endpoint protection. Big defenders are there. So there are different vendors in our security world which are doing the encryption job for your normal C drive. Like if you want to encrypt your C drive, so that will be done by the device encryption. You can just use that software, endpoint protections. You can use some other protection systems, McAfee, Symantec, or any of that, like That's like totally free. Sometimes McAfee is free, so you can find that in a field trial. So that's for our own devices, for our own laptops. But if you talk about the mobile devices, you can do the same job. You would find some different applications that could be paid, that could be like free. So you can just encrypt your whole container, or you can just encrypt the whole storage. So that would be used, like nobody can check that data until unless they require a password for that. So company owned devices are 90% managed like this. Like you are encrypting the data, along with that a password is required, such that nobody can use that container for that reason. In iOS, data protection encryption is enabled automatically when you configure password lock on your device. So the device is already basically encrypted, but you can buy software for that. 90% in the enterprise, guys, enterprises, we are buying something. We are not using normal type of encryption methods. We are not depending on our Microsoft firewalls. We must require a real firewall where we can stop the data, where we can encrypt the data. In the enterprise level, we require different type of certifications. CA is required, certificate authority is required, who is giving you the access, and Radius server, Tech, ACS plus, AAA servers are required. So in the real world, that's very, very important. You cannot implement any security until unless you are familiar with those terms. In Android, there are substantial difference in encryption options between the version. Not all user data is encrypted using data protection option. Context, SMS, message pictures are by default not encrypted. So obviously that's the thing that you can have the different of different issues. So do not store sensitive or incremented data on any portable device, regardless of encryption option period. So obviously that's a common sense now. Like you must be make sure that you are not using any of your sensitive data. Sensitive data are your PCI data. If you guys have heard about PCI, PCI is a payment card industry. I create policies for this for banking environment because my direct job is with the banking environment. PHIs, like that's for the medical purpose. Those are being used, like you can just, those are the most sensitive data. Credit card details, debit card details are very important. So obviously you need a very good DLP policies for that. Okay, guys, we can just have a quick short break. I know that you guys will be a little tired now. So let's have a quick 10 minutes break. What do you say? Agreed, everyone? Democracy, are you agreed? Like if everybody says yes, let's go for a break. Sure thing. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, let's have a break for 10 minutes and then we will start the session again. Okay. Okay, guys, back. Students.
Yes, I think most of them are back.
Okay, perfect. So without wasting any time, let's get started with our remaining topics. So location services, very important. Like these days, like everybody is monitored. Like whenever you're sitting somewhere, you are putting your status on the Facebook that, okay, I'm eating here, I'm going there. So tagging is very important. Like GPS tagging, like you're tagging your traffic for different locations, and you say that, okay, I am over here sitting. So that is known as global positioning system, that is GPS. GPS was like, recently it was not that much common, but after like it's been a decade now, like it's getting very common. And it's like, that's why in the authentication, like whenever we are authenticated someone else nowadays now, so we required GPS now. That is like very important for that reason. Why we require, for example, I'm sitting over here, and if I go to Europe, in Europe, I will say that, okay, when I log in my Facebook over there in Europe, so what will happen? There will be a quick email will become to your mobile phone, and it will say that, okay, you have been logged in some other location. You were basically in New York, for example, and now you are in London. So, or you are in Saudi right now, you are in, what do you say, Riyadh, you are in there. So there could be an alert in your email or to your SMS. So that's why authentication through location is very important now. It was not that important, like if you talk about a decade back, but now it's very important. As a security point of view, we have included our GPS in our authentication now. Just like something you know, something you have, something you are, and somewhere you are is being added just because of this reason. So global positioning system, GPS, a means of determining the device latitude, longitude based on the information received by satellite via GPS sensors. So that's the sensors, like those are every time you are being monitored through satellite. So Google is always checking you, different of the organization, they're always checking you through GPS system. Indoor positioning system, or IPS, works out a device location by triangulating its proximity to other radio sources such as cellular towers, Wi-Fi access, or Bluetooth. So like if you're driving a vehicle, this is your car, this is one tower, your cellular tower, this is one tower, this is one more tower. This is considered as a cell. This is a cell. This is cell have its own circle over here, its own circle, its own radius. So whenever you move yours, so that's why it is known as cellular phone, because towers are considered as a cell, and when you're moving from one point to the other, so you are like your call doesn't break, because cells are so much important. Those cell towers are so much important that they focus your call, and that be transferred from one end to the other. So cell towers are important. That is known as the IPS, indoor positioning system. 90% we are using IPS in our local Wi-Fi's, just like to make sure our Bluetooth RFID beacons are secured. So that's also the IPS. Geofencing, again, MDM topic. Geofencing is important because, like, if somebody is taking your company owned phone outside the organization, this is the intruder. This is, for example, intruder like me. I have took the company owned phone and I'm going outside the company's environment. So when I just step outside, so geofencing would be activated, and my whole data would be destroyed. Same goes for, I have enrolled my device in the MDM. When I entered in the organization, so as soon as I connect to the Wi-Fi, my whole cameras, my microphone policies, again, the same NEC policies, remember guys, all the policies, enforcement policies would be implemented, and it will stop that, okay, you are not allowed to use the cameras now. You're not allowed to use the microphone. You're not allowed to use the cellular phone. So that's the geofencing. GPS tagging. Tagging is a similar. The longitude, latitudes are there, but it's more specific towards tagging yourself. Tagging yourself. Okay, I'm sitting in this restaurant eating something. So that's tagging. Verified Russian soldier revealed that they were being tracked by fellow soldiers who tagged and uploaded numerous Instagram selfies. And he reported this to his superior and was then shot in the spot for the treason. Okay, that was really harsh. Even if there were not true, so note all the chain of commands welcome constructive sarcasm. So that's the example that the tagging is there. So please don't kill no one for that reason. So that this GPS tagging. Application management, guys, again, when you are using SDKs, when you are installing the software kits in your mobile phone, so it's very important just to make sure that you are doing the good application management. There's also known as patch management, application management, inventory management. All those are studied by the security guy, so you must be familiar with all of those terms: application management, patch management, inventory management, security management, onboarding process, offboarding. Like there are a lot of management process that we normally follow. So same goes for our mobile management, in which application managements are there. So what type of applications you are installing, what type of, like, whether that's a trusted application or that's not trusted, whether that's the certificates they're providing, like if they are using any certificates, for example, their web server is using only HTTP traffic. They're not using HTTPS traffic. Why they're not using S traffic? That means that traffic is not secure. That means the web server doesn't having any certificates installed in that. The web server, whenever you find anything HTTPS, so that means the web server certificates are being installed in that machine. That's why we are always as security guys, we are forcing everyone, even the Google. What you know, guys, the Google, if you search some website, so on the top searches would always be HTTPS. So that's why we secure data, just like that web server is trusted. Same goes for application world. When you create an application, when you create a database for that application, when you create that web server, so what you do, you require the applications to be trusted. How you can trust them? Using the certificates for that, or using third party, you can use different certificates for that reason. So we have a lot of companies now who are distributing the certificates. Same goes for the iOS guys are much better. They say that, okay, if you want to upload anything in our app store, if you want to create any website or you create any application, you must be certified. Your application management should be at the top rank. Your users, your clients should be trusted now. So Android allows selection, different stores and installation. Untrusted app, that's not a good thing, like you guys were discussing in the chat, like Ibrahim and I think Abdullah. So this is like one of the guys, one of the alarming position. Untrusted apps should not be there, but like in Android we do have from any third party if this option is enabled by the user. So never don't enable these options in your mobile phones. Like always we use trusted app. iOS only apps from the app stores. Again, that's why proprietary Apple is good. That's the reason trusted apps are always there. Apple Business Manager and Manage Google Play. So these are the EMUs, like EMM, Enterprise Management. Again, the similar thing I was telling you guys, when we talk about enterprise world, we buy a suit for that. If you guys have bought anything for the enterprise, so a guy will come, like a Google guy will come, he will just put a pitch on you. He will say that, okay, we are selling this and we do have different options like this. Like normally when we as a Cisco persons, when we go to the enterprise, so we pitch something as well that is known as upsell, that okay, we have this option. Like in EMM, 90% we do have a UEM suite, like where you can just make sure that all of the devices are trusted. Like whenever you are using any of the device, so that whenever somebody is coming inside the environment using the MDM, so they should make sure that they are using trusted devices. Like for example, the attack, how the attack can be done. I am bringing my own device to the environment and I have untrusted device over there. I connect to the Wi-Fi in the enterprise. I enter in a bank, I connect the Wi-Fi. If the banking environment are not using myself as a guest, or for example, I'm the employee of the bank, I have downloaded any untrusted application in my Android. I enter in the banking environment and I'm working in a treasury department. So that untrusted app is not trusted. So somebody can get into your mobile phone and can spy your phone. So you are using a website, you are using some of the website, and you're connected to any of the network. So that can be a very, very bad threat. So that's why MDMs, enrollment of the devices, are very important, such that you are not using any untrusted applications while you are in the enterprise. Android unauthorized app store uses the AppCat, like that's the format that we are using, .apk, that's the file format. This is referred to as a side loading. Side loading, a very good term that we use again in our world. Side loading, that means like you're not allowed. See, this has also happened, like so sometime what happened in a real environment, guys. I'm the security guy. If you guys are hired as a security engineer, you're sitting somewhere, there's a person like Franklin. Franklin is like Franklin is my friend, he's my buddy. So he gets into the organization and he took his own laptop with him. Like he has his own personal laptop. He connects the laptop using my company's Wi-Fi and he's using something. So he's doing his own IT work, for example. That is known as side loading. Like that laptop was not enrolled. He was not allowed to take that laptop in the enterprise, but he's doing that. That's known as side loading. Similar goes for your application environment. You're not allowed to download any untrusted app, but you have to do that. But you are side loading it. You have done that, and you're using that application. And your IT guys, they are not that good enough. They are not known about that you are using any untrusted app. So that's the side loading. Any unwanted traffic or any unwanted application or any unwanted laptops are used without the permission of the security guys. That's the side loading. Content management, guys, very, very important topic. Not because of this boot camp, not because of the certifications, but for the real world. If you are going somewhere, you start to work as an security guys. So I will rate this topic as 5 out of 5. So very important content management, day-to-day tasks that you will be doing. Containerization you will be doing. You will be creating VPNs. You will be very, very important term that we normally use. That's DLP, data loss prevention. Very important. Like that's like your real job, that you are using VPNs. Everybody's connected with VPN. If you guys have heard about Cisco AnyConnect, so normally that there are different terms that we use. AnyConnect we normally use for our VPN connectivities when we connect our Cisco world. Cisco Umbrella is a very good VPN connections like we are normally using, and we deploy them in our environments. AnyConnect is just like a VPN. You just install it and you just connect it. Whenever somebody is working remotely from home, so they must connect through VPN. The traffic should be tunneled, and using a good tunnel system like IPsec, the headers like ESP headers are there. So it's very, very important for the content management. Again, there are different management. I will just repeat it. Patch management is there, inventory management is there, application management, content management. Like every day you need to make sure that you're following all of the frameworks correctly. So containerization allows the employer to manage and maintain the portion of the device that interfaces with the corporate network. So container, just like the previously I've told you, this is the container that you have created. This is personally owned by you. This is personally owned by the company. So this is a container that the company will create. Just like the virtualization, if you like, virtualization is a is there something known as VDI, virtualization desktop management. How we use the virtualization is divided into 2 tiers, tier 1, tier 2. Tier 1 is like you buy a bare metal, like where there is no virtual manager over there. Tier 2 is like just like a virtual box. You already guys are using virtual box in which you install a software. This is just like, this is your hardware. This is your hardware. Then you have your own operating system. For example, you are using Windows. Then you install the virtual box. After the virtual box, you install the Ubuntu, Linux, Ubuntu, you install the Kali, you install, for example, you install the Windows DNS server. So this is how it works. Your hardware, this is your laptop. In your laptop, you have Microsoft Windows. In the Microsoft Windows iOS, you have installed the virtual box. In the box, you have this. This is the virtualization in which like you are doing this. But now things have changed. You are using containerization in which what you can do, you just buy a container. You have hardware. That's your laptop. You have Windows running in your laptop. And now you will buy a software that is known as Dockers, very commonly used nowadays, Dockers. In the Dockers, you don't need to download any of the Ubuntu, Linux, DNS, Windows DNS, any operating system. Now what the Dockers will do, Dockers will just keep a container like this, and it will have different bin files, lib files. They are pre-configured. So the developers, they don't need to they don't need to get familiar with the operating system. They will directly install Python. They will directly install some good language or .NET, for example, anything, not .NET, basically Linux or anything, like they will Ruby. So they will directly go to the bin file, start working. Now they don't care about the virtual management, or they don't care about the Ubuntu, Linux, DNS or anything. So that's Dockers, that's only pre-configured. Just like the shipping companies, everything is pre-configured. Like, okay, this is a container. The ship, whenever the ship is sinking, like it's basically sailing from one end to the other end. So they have their own arrangement to arrange the containers. So like if their sizing of the containers are set correctly, so that's pre-configured and pre-designed. Just like the similar thing, we have containers in our real world, just like Dockers. So you have a container, bin files, lib files, everything is already there. You don't care about the virtual box. You don't care about anything about Ubuntu, Kali or anything. The developers will directly go and they'll start working. That's the real containers, like why containers are used. So similarly, we can, as if you talk about mobile management, in the mobile management, you can have a container. In that container, you can store the data. That container is owned by the security managers, the IT guys. They are owned by this. If they want to destroy it, they can destroy that container. As if you talk about MDM, mobile device management. So the containers are used like this. In our programming world, containers are used like this. Apps cannot write to area outside the container, such as external media or using copy paste to non-container apps. So before moving forward, guys, everybody is quiet. Just talk to me. Any question, anyone? Or I'm too quick now? A lot of dumping of knowledge.
You know, when everyone is quiet, it's because you're doing a great job, Mohammed.
Okay, but they are not talking to me. Talk to me, guys. Talk to me. Thank you, Abdullah. Guys, ask me questions about the real world, Cisco, Palo Alto applications, cloud, if you want. Oh, good for me. Okay, perfect. Ask me. I'm not good in Linux a lot now because I started my career as a Microsoft guy, like a normal person, removing wires from my teeth, putting everything, RJ45, UTPs, fiber optics. At that time, 12 years back, it was like Active Directories were a handy thing, not a big thing. VPN connectivity was very huge at that time, but moved towards Linux. Like 7 years back, I was using Linux at that time. And after that, I moved towards Cisco. Cisco hired me, fortunately. So I was working as a network guy, routers and switches. Then I moved my career towards the cybersecurity, Cisco ESA appliance, email gateways, next generation firewalls, 5515, 25, 85, SMA, cybersecurity appliances, and then Palo Alto. I also work for Palo Alto. So next generation firewalls are very important, endpoints. Now I move towards cloud now, Amazon putting data up on the cloud, S3 buckets, and all those things are very commonly used. So I know, like, I will be more talking towards live world. Why? Because I want you guys, everyone, every student over here, to make sure. I'm the associate over here, so that's like this will be just a single lecture. But Lloyd's and Ben and our instructor job is that you get trained enough to work in the real environment, what the licensing are, how things work. So that's more important job. Anyways, guys, if you have any question, please stop me. Say, hey, Mohammed, stop. I want to ask question. Okay. So going back to the topic, guys, app network access might restrict VPN tunnels. As I told you, VPN, transport layer, like there are different layers for the VPNs as well, but there are two modes: transport mode, tunnel mode, IPsec, SSL. We have different certificates of, we have different type of the certificate. TLS 1.3 is getting common, so we can use this one in our content management. DLP, guys, one of the very coolest topic for myself, at least, because I've been dealing with DLP, data loss prevention, for a long time now, for 5 or 6 years in content management. I was telling you about the content management. It's very, very important. Okay, so I will just, so DLP is a data loss prevention, guys. That's a content management system. Text, copied or confidential data prevents content from being shared or copied to unauthorized external media channels. So guys, DLP can be anywhere. You are going to somewhere in an area where you're not allowed to take pictures, you're taking the pictures. So that's the DLP. You're not allowed to record anything, record any of the video talks or any of the voice recording. So you're downloading anything. So DLP is everywhere. Like, you are not allowed to do that, but you're doing that. Any unauthorized person is downloading any data, or any of the thing is like any of the sensitive data. There are different classification of the data. Sensitive data is there, socialized data is there, unclassified data is there, secret data is there. So any of those data is very important. That should be secure. So that's the job of the DLP, and DLP policies are there in our network. If you guys are familiar with the Office 365, Microsoft Office 365, we do have predefined DLP policies over there. So you can just, if you guys can Google it, so you will find DLP policies. Like passports are there, SSN numbers, social security numbers, and different channels, different policies, like a lot of passport, SSN numbers, PCI, PHI, different policies that you can just review them. Examples is not corporate email system and cloud storage devices. So I've already told, like, you can use DLP in the ESA appliance or the web security appliances as well. In the cloud storage, you can use the DLPs. Moving forward, routing and jailbreaking. So routing is very common term that sometime back in 5 or 7 years back, when there was Apple phone, what that was Apple 6 or 7, iPhone 6, yeah, 6, iPhone 6 or 6s. At that time, there was a term that we were using, jailbreaking. At that time, we were using JV file, JV was a term that was being used, and that was like the SIM card. You put that SIM card above the JV and you can break the carriers for that, and that was known as jailbreaking. So that phone was unlocked by itself. You don't need to do a lot. So that phone was unlocked. So that was a jailbreaking. Like Cisco is not, oh sorry, Cisco, I'm saying Apple is saying to you, iPhone, that you cannot use that phone until unless you are registered, but you can just jailbreak it while use JV for that reason. So jailbreaking was a very common term. Routing is a term associated with Android devices. A new custom framework is applied to the device, allow pretty much anything to be changed on a device. So like you're changing something, putting something else, changing the framework, downgrading it. So that's also known as routing. Jailbreaking in iOS, we are using it for a booted with a patch kernel, usually tethered a boot to a computer, allows sideload apps. As a sideload apps are the apps that are unwanted app, change or add careers. So you use JV, change the career. Somebody is using Horizon or any of the BT line, British Telecom. So you can just take that phone, put the JV, use. But now it's not happening anymore. Customize the enterprises, so that could be used. EMM, and that's again the enterprise mobile management, has a routine to detect a rooted or a jailbreak devices or custom frames. Like we do have a lot of options in Azure. If you guys see that, like there are around 100 of the options in MDM. You don't think like that there are less options, but there are so many options. Search for a device without the valid developer code signatures, guys. Whenever you create an app in the real world, you must sign that application with your sign. That's a developer signature that, okay, this company have created this application. So that means they are the recognized company. They are having the certificates as well, and they are 100% fine. But if they don't have a valid signature, so that means there's something fishy in that. prevent access to the enterprise app network and workspaces. Cellular GPS connection methods. So let's go further. Cellular data, guys, cellular data, you know about, like Abdullah was telling you about the 5G, 4G these days. Cellular data are there, LTE is there, started with the 3G technology, and moving forward. Why we are moving forward day to day? Because like we require more bandwidth now, high speed on our cellular data. So that's why 5G has been introduced. Why 5Gs and Wi-Fi 6, why they are getting popular? Because of the very, very high speed, and they are forwarding the data very quickly. That's in short. LAN pen connection, Samsung Knox secure folders, like this is like the EMM, or that can be used. Secure folder, these are just the different technologies that you can use to make sure your data is secure. Global positioning system, GPS signals can be jammed or spoofed using a specialized radio equipment. So this is like a new technology, but very rarely used. As a security guy, I've never worked for the 3G or 4G world because like that's a different, like IT is huge now. It started with the administrator, cyber security, and 5G people are different. ISP guys are different. If you talk about the internet service providers, they are working on BGPs, they are working on ISIS, they are working on different type of the fiber channels, and they are working on ATM technologies. But IT guys like us, security guys, we are sitting on this part, on the customer premises, so we have a different story. So every IT guy have their own stories. Developers are different. So if you talk about simple 3G guys, 4G guys, they have a different story. You can spoof the data radio frequencies because they are different band channels, like they are being used, so they can be spoofed. There can be a spoofing range over there. This can be used to defeat geofencing mechanism, yes, but you need to enroll the devices, guys. Whenever geofencing mechanism is there, you need to enroll whoever is getting inside your network, whoever is getting inside your enterprise. Make sure you enroll the device. Satellite system include EU, that is the Galileo, Russia is Glonson, China is BDU. So these are the satellite system they are using. Wi-Fi and tethering connection methods. Most phones prefer Wi-Fi by default. Obviously, WPA3, we were using WPS in the starting. Now it is used. Then we use WPA, that is also not being used now. WPA2 is being used nowadays for a personal and enterprise reasons. We are using it. WPA3 is much better. It is using a dragon handshake, so it's much better. It's asking multiple times. It's asking AES has not been there. Okay, so AES is there, so that can be used in our WPA2. There are two categories of WPA2: WPA2 enterprise, WPA personal. So WPA3 is now getting inside the market now. Watch for a rogue access point. Nobody's bringing their rogue device, like getting into the environment and bringing their own access points, like they can use in a coffee shop. That is also known as the evil twin attacks that can be used. Broken TLS, GNS spoofing, many more, like there are. Pens are the personal area network. They are the wearables. Wearables means like wearable watches, like you wear an Apple Watch that can be connected to your mobile phone, like you are wearing any Fitbands and fitness for these days. I'm using it. So watches for bridge connections to cooperate the network. Ad hoc Wi-Fi direct, tethering, hotspot. You guys must be familiar with the hotspot tethering. In like there are different type of the attacks. You need to make sure in the Bluetooth jacking, Bluetooth snurfing, like somebody can take your Bluetooth devices open, somebody can steal the data from you using the Bluetooth and the USB cable. Like you're charging for your phone somewhere, you use the USB cable to charge your phone, and then your phone is hacked. So they are the methods. Bluetooth connection methods. Device discovery. Device can be put into discoverable mode. It will be blindly connect to the anything. So you can device, like sometimes we don't allow SSIDs as well to discover as a security feature. We are not allowing everyone to connect to your network. So you can just disable that, like your device is not basically visible for everyone. Authentication and authorization. Authorization is like you are first authenticated, then you are authorized, then you're authorized for the certain folders. So device authenticate pairs using a simple passcode configured on both devices. So you can just, like, whenever if somebody's connected through Bluetooth, so you restrict someone that, okay, you are allowed to, you will be asked for a password or a pass key, for example, 1234. So like then you will be connected. Always change the default, always never use 000 or 111, never use that. Malware, there are Blue Snurf, Blueborn, yes, I was telling you, blue jacking is also there. So those are being used just for a reason that your Bluetooth device is enabled and they are connected. Update framework frequently, obviously downgrading attacks are there. Why we use always upgrading the firmware, guys? Just to make sure that the vulnerabilities are there. Always upgrade your firmware, always. For why we use asynchronous version should always be updated in our real world, because the bugs are there when the upgradation is there. So that means that's bug free now. A 4-digit pin, really, so you can just change the pin number, you can change the pin codes. Infrared RFID connection method, infrared IR blasters, just like your LEDs. If you're using your TV, this is a remote control, this is a remote control, this is your LED. So in the LED, we have a blaster and we have a remote control. So they connect through RFID. So that's the RFID blasters. IR blasters, this allows the device to interact with the IR receivers. And you operate a device such as TV and HVAC, that is the heating ventilation systems monitor, as through it will be remote control headset. So just like the TV devices, IR sensor, they are used as a proximity sensors, detect when a smartphone is being held to the ear, for instance, to measure health information such as heart rate and blood oxygen level. So just like normally you can just check your oxygen rate, or different medical devices are using the IR sensors now. RFID, IR, very commonly used for the attendant purpose. Like normally when you get inside any of the organization, you are using proximity cards, they are using the RFID rays. So just you put it over there and your attendance has been marked. Can be read for the 100 of the meters. Skimming, yes, skimming is very common in our credit card world, in our ATM card world. Skimming and scamming is very commonly used. You can skim any of the credit card details using the skimming cards. RFID tags can inject malicious code into the readers. NFCs, and or you can say near field communication and mobile payment services. So if you heard about Google Pay or Apple Pay, you just take your phone, put the phone on that specific device, so that could take your money from that. So it's again vulnerable. Really, it's very vulnerable, because for that reason you need to enable the Bluetooth and your mobile would be there. So that's very vulnerable, but always open it when you're near that devices. Otherwise there could be a bump. So based on RFID, or a bump is NFC transaction, exchange money and the contacts and passwords. What could possibly go wrong? A lot of things, vulnerability attack can be there. That is a possibility. A lot of possibility is there. So still, because like Shady was telling you in the starting lecture, there are a lot of issues with the embedded and IoT's machine to machine learning. Is there are a lot of vulnerabilities, guys, over there. I will not prefer you to use the IoTs at the moment, or always segregate the network, use another zone or VLANs. Don't use it right now, because there are so many companies, they are using the iOS, they are using a different operating system for that. So it's still a lot of vulnerabilities there in the NFCs. USB connection method, USB and lightning cables. USB on the go, just like you just put the USB and it's like you are using for the Wi-Fi purpose. If you are going somewhere, you use the USB, it is directly connected with the satellite and you're using the internet. There's the USB on go. Access the hardware, sync or the backup and upgrade the framework. So that could be used. Juice jacking, just like the similar example I've told you guys. That is basically juice jacking is you are charging phone, you're charging your phone and your data is being transferred from one end, because sometimes it asks for the things like, do you want to transfer the data? Do you want to transfer your phone data or the pictures? So like somebody can use it while you are charging your phone. So that is known as a juice jacking. SMS, MMS, RCS, and push notification, short message service. SMS is like just the SMS, like just for the two-factor authentication, we are using SMS very commonly. Whenever you log into the internet banking, you will receive an SMS. If you do any transaction, you receive any email or the SMS, so somebody can use those SMS for their vulnerability purpose. So attack can be there using the SMS, that is the attack defeat two-step verification. MMS is the multimedia message that could be there. RCS, rich communication services, WhatsApp and iMessages are using RCS services. Patchy little or no encryption does, but 90% every message for the WhatsApp call is basically RCS with the encryption. From end-to-end encryption is there. So that's the one thing. Always connect yourself with the VPN, guys. In the real world, whenever you are using the mobile devices, whenever you're using the anything, always connect yourself with the VPN. So the VPN by default, your traffic would be encrypted. Push notification can access sensitive area of devices. So the push notifications are there, like you click something and you are allowed to use something. So that's the push notification. Firmware over the air updates. You buy a phone, you buy a new phone, or you buy any new device. So what is the firmware over the air? You connect your phone, you put your SIM card in that, and you're directly connected with the satellite, and your firmware will directly go for the update. So that could be dangerous, but that's very handy sometimes, because sometimes if there are simple PUPs, I believe that you must be heard about PUPs. Those are the defined malware. Sometimes you call it malware. Those are there in your mobile phones or in your softwares. So there could be some issues in that, but frame over the air, you buy a new firmware, you put that, you directly connect to the cellular phone or the Wi-Fi, your firmware will start to upgrade. So but if the attacker is the man in the middle person sitting over there, they can use that attack directly. So a baseband signal update modify firmware of the radio used for the cellular, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, NFC, GPS connectivity. Again, what could be possibly wrong? Your firmware could be connected somewhere else. Stingray International Mobile Subscriber Identity IMS SI captures evil base stations. So over here, your connected updates are here. So you're connected somewhere else. Identify the location and launch the MITM, man in the middle attack. Update the firmware to whatever if it wants to do. So you're connected somewhere else and your phone is compromised. Microwave radio connection methods, backhaul link among cell towers and the data center. There could be a backhaul. Somebody can directly connect you. You're assuming that you're connected to some other cell phone towers, but actually you're connected to the backhaul link. Inter-building links, P2P, that is a point-to-point microphone. Microwaves uses high gain antennas to link the two sides. P2M, point to multi-point microwaves, uses smaller sectoral antennas such as covering a separate chord. More susceptible to the man in the middle, use the over-the-air encryption. So guys, again, always use encryption methods whenever you are containing any sensitive data. If you're using any container, always use point-to-point. It's a huge topic, point-to-point, P2P and P2M. There are different protocols as well in our real world, like those are obsoleted now. Point-to-point protocols, P2P and VPN is used nowadays. Summary, let's have a quick done with these chapters. Guideline for implementing host security solutions. We have discussed about that. Follow these guidelines when you deploy or reassess endpoint security integration with embedded or IoTs, machine to machine learning. When you are implementing any IoT, always remember, use VPN, use VLANs for that, segregate that network, use different subnet, or directly use some other connection for that. Assess third-party risk and ensure appropriate procedures and agreement. MOUs are, very quickly, just a single letter, what MOUs are never used for any agreement. They're used but never shown in the courts, so that's not legal. NDAs are non-disclosure agreement. Confidential data should not be disclosed, so that's NDA. SLA is a service level agreement, so 90% you're signing with your internet service provider or cloud service provider. BPS are the partner ones. MSA are again the agreement for your own purpose, are used to onboard approved vendors and partners as technology solution providers. Establish configuration baselines for each host. Ensure the hosts are deployed to the configuration baseline and set up the monitoring to ensure compliance. Configure secure boot options and consider the use of attestation policy servers as the basis of network access control mechanism. Attestation is very important in the network. You need to attest your all of the frameworks in our hardware point of view. Configure storage encryption using a full disk. FDE is important. Deploy endpoint protection. Always deploy McAfee, AMP endpoint, Cisco endpoint, Symantec that meets security requirements for functions such as anti-malware, AMP. Very important. Advanced malware protections are important. Firewalls, next generation firewalls are important. IDS, intrusion detection system, prevention systems, DLP, EDRs are very important. Establish patch management procedure to test update for the different host groups and ensure management of the both OS and the third-party software. So patch management, day-to-day tasks, very, very important. You need to do every day. You need to log files every day using SIMs for that. Create management plan for IoTs devices such as workplace. Ensure there is no shadow IT, side loading. That's very important. I've told you shadow IT, bringing your own laptop. IT folks doesn't know that. Or side loading using your own applications. Deployment of the unmanaged applications. Those are not managed by Franklin or me. For example, assess security requirements for ICs and SCADA. Always create a different VLAN or different network. Recruitment of the secure SOC, RTOs, and FPGA controller systems. Guidelines for implementing secure mobility of mobile solutions. MDM is important. Follow these guidelines when you deploy or reassess the mobile device application management. Select mobile deployment models that best fits the organization security requirements and employ business needs. BYOD, very important. Corporate owned, company owned, and choose your own devices. So make sure that whatever model you are using, use it correctly. Deploy mobile and a universal endpoint management platform. Buy a service from Azure or Amazon, and there are a lot of people selling it. Allow connection methods, cellular, Wi-Fi, tethering, and Bluetooth. Restrict them. Don't allow them. Restrict them. Restrict them for the guest user. Allow them for the employees, whoever have the certificates, whoever are the employees, certified employees only. Authentication requirements, screen lock for the mobile devices, biometric, PIN, and the context aware should be there. Block devices function, geotagging, camera, microphones should be blocked. Not only this, a lot of more things can be blocked. Blocking of the rooted and the jailbreak or custom firmware carrier and block devices should be there. Side loading, workspace storage segmentation for enterprise app. Always go for the containerization. Device encryption or remote wipe or a kill swipe. You can just say the same thing. You can encrypt the device and you can directly destroy the data by using the kill swipe. So Shady have talked to you about the embedded system security implication. Always use VLANs, implement mobile devices, always. Very, very importantly, these days, cloud devices are there. ICE, I've talked about Cisco ICE, Cisco DNS, Cisco Umbrella, Cisco AnyConnect. Check them. Palo Alto, Wildfire, Cisco Telescope, check them, study them. Implement secure device connections. So make sure that you are using the perfect connections. So benchmark assessment. I'm not Franklin. Are you there, Derek? Where labs are not there, guys. So mostly I believe that labs are the open labs for today. So you can just do for the installation. If you like, you can just go for the labs. And challenge question is there. So you can answer this question tomorrow. So the question is, if you have to choose only one, what is the best operating system for you? Why do you like that? So like what operation system that you will be using that? So that's the challenge question. You can answer that question tomorrow. Guys, any question, anything? Guys, talk to me. Why everyone is silent? Oh, good. Yes. Yes, Derek.
Yeah. So today is Open Lab Day. So we have uploaded a virtual machine. I think most of you have already taken a look at it. So it's actually a vulnerable virtual machine. You can download it and then you are supposed to sort of get into it by Googling stuff. So is it that you